is Graham Fish, 6:26.71. Antoine Gélina-Beaulieu was right behind him, 6:28.26. And Hayden Mayor, who skated first, still hanging on to third place overall, 6:35.42.
19 years old in an event where you peak later on in life, so you look at that, and Mayer's got to be at least having a little smile on his face right now as he recovers from a long exertion.
Absolutely.
Pair number 5, pardon me, Jordan Belchos, 28 years old from Toronto, and some guy named Denny Morrison out of Fort St. John, British Columbia, who he's had a rather quiet last 4 years since the Sochi Olympics, hasn't he?
Not not by his design. Denny Morrison, who was involved in a fairly serious motorcycle accident a few years ago. He's made a long and tough recovery, but he is back to his old self. He had some very good results at the Fall World Cups this season, and he'll be looking to qualify for the 2018 Canadian team. He's going to attempt it in the 5,000 meter. Denny Morrison, however, is a middle distance specialist. 1,000 and 1,500 meters are his best races. He was an Olympic medalist in those distances at the Sochi Olympics.
So we've seen earlier some of the Canada Cup races where longer distance people do sprints to sort of get into things, but Denny Morrison doing the opposite, starting with a 5,000 meter race when he does some shorter stuff. He does the team pursuit as well, but what would go into a decision to do a 5K when you have your better races still to come?
Well, Denny Morrison is a racer. He knows how to pull good races out of nowhere, and when things really matter, he tends to get going. So he's probably telling himself, why should he limit his options? He has the ability and the skill to qualify in this distance. And this isn't only the 2018 team selections, this is also the Canadian Single Distance Championships. So there is hardware on the line. Skaters tend to want to race things. You know, sitting out races is not in their nature.
And having followed Denny Morrison for a number of years, he likes to go fast. He likes the speed. He is a racer, so that's why he's out, obviously. Belchos with an early lead. Belchos, who's got some inline experience as well. He won a bronze medal at the Pan American Games in Toronto in 2015 in roller speed skating in the 10K points race. I believe it was the first Canadian ever to win a roller medal in Pan Am competition.
Jordan Belchos is no slouch over these long distances. He's a world-class athlete. He's been skating on the World Cup circuit for a number of years with the Canadian team.
Very close race between these two. Now, how much of a draft is Denny Morrison getting right there? He's sucked right in there.
He's using everything he can down that backstretch. So a wily move from Denny Morrison to get a little bit of draft there.
At the fall trials, Jordan Belchos was fourth with a time of 6:23.84. His personal best was set on the Olympic ice in South Korea, the Gangneung Oval. That was back last February. As he's pulled out a bit of an advantage, he's got about a second up on Morrison right now. Low 30s are the lap times for these two.
Absolutely, and these guys are chasing that Olympic qualifying time standard of 6:14.51. That's an average of 29.6 seconds per lap. So neither skater has achieved that mark within the last year.
29.83 lap time for Morrison, closing the gap. 31.9 on that last lap for Belchos. Right up, almost alongside each other, but we saw Morrison getting the draft a few laps to go. Now it's Belchos' turn.
So keep an eye on these veteran long-distance skaters. They know how to set up those corners so that they can take advantage of those drafts every few laps.
This is two guys here who've done this many, many times before, so it's a battle of veteran wits here, it seems, Leo.
Absolutely. Denny Morrison just hanging on to those 29s, keeping that lap under 30 seconds. That's what he needs to do. Both skaters 3 seconds ahead of the pace set by Fish.
Morrison's own personal best time, 6:19.91. He set it just over a month ago. So maybe he's thinking of a new distance.
If Denny Morrison can hang on to this pace, he is on track to equal or better that time. 6:19 is an average of 30.1 seconds a lap.
They both dipped down back below that. Morrison with a 30.2, Belcho's 30.31. Within about 3/10 of each other. They are just going toe-to-toe, flat out against each other. 2,000 meters still to go.
So these two skaters will be going for it. They will have set a target time, which may be a little ambitious for the day in the atmospheric conditions, but what options do they have? It's the Canadian Championships, it's the team selection competition,
and the national titles on the line. 30.1 the last lap for Morrison, 30.49 from Belchos as Morrison looks to be finding his groove a little bit. The gap was down to about 1/10 of a second. Morrison a little bit faster, and he's now starting to pour on the speed a little bit, pulling away.
See if Belchos has an answer.
Dips back into the 29s, does Morrison, 29.94. Belchos up to 30.76, and it seems for all his 1,000 and 1,500 meter experience, Morrison is finding some pace late in this race.
Absolutely, as he moves into the outer lane. This is a big lap for him with 2 to go. Can he bring it down again? Morrison negative split the last lap.
30.33 on that last one, so back into the 30s for Morrison.
And he's going to go over the top of Belchos as he starts to eat into his pair. Both skaters still ahead of Fish, so aiming for that top spot on the leaderboard is Denny Morrison.
Time to beat, 6 minutes, 26.71. Both of these skaters looking like they're going to move ahead of that one with coming up to 1 lap to go. Denny Morrison, lap time there, 30.45. Belchos 30.92. Morrison now over 2 seconds ahead.
If he can maintain this pace, he's looking at around a 6:21. That would put him 5 seconds ahead of Graham Fish and just shy of his personal best.
Morrison, one arm going in the outer lane, comes into the home stretch. Less than 100 meters to go now. Denny Morrison, both arms down, powering to the line. Let's see his time when he crosses all the way over. 6:21.09, 6:22.90 for Jordan Belchos. They're the 2 fastest times of the day.
What a race from those two, duking it out, back and forth, trading drafts, trading leads. But Denny Morrison had the better of Belchos. So Morrison now has the time to beat, 6:21.09.
So he will be on the podium at the end of the day with at least a bronze medal here in the national championships.
As we now have 1 pair remaining, and what a pair it is.
Ted Jan Blumen, a name that might become more familiar to Canadians in the coming months. The world record holder in both the 5 and 10,000 meters. He set it just over a month ago, just under a month ago. Has Blumen, comes in with a time of 6:01.86. And in the outer, maybe a sign of things to come, Ben Donnelly, 20 years old, out of Oshawa, Ontario, came second at the fall trials to Blumen. So it's 1 versus 2 here in the final pair at the long track team selections and Canadian single distance championships.
Ben Donnelly in the inner lane with the white armband was world junior champion 2 years ago. He's a young skater, and he's only getting better. He's a key member of the Canadian Pursuit team, along with Denny Morrison and Ted Jan Blumen.
Mentioned that team. They picked up a bronze medal at the Salt Lake City World Cup recently. Set a national record in that event as well. Blumen, Donnelly, and Morrison.
Both skaters opening very quick. The only sub-19 openers from these two skaters. So
Blumen, the story after the Sochi Olympics, he phoned up, or he got in contact with Coach Bart Scout and asked about maybe skating for Canada. Blumen's father from Bathurst, New Brunswick, so he gets that Canadian citizenship. Thumbs up all around, and nobody's looked back as Blumen has come here and is setting the world alight. A little bit of a rivalry forming with the Dutchman Sven Kramer as the two go head-to-head quite often on World Cups this year.
Absolutely, and look at that opening time. World class, 28.2 for the first 400 meters. That is under his world record pace, which was an average of 28.6 seconds per lap. And look at that, he's settling back in.
Still under that time a little bit. We'll save the excitement for now. Still 4,000 meters to go, but Blumen looking oh so smooth right now, and Ben Donnelly not too far behind.
So Ben Donnelly opening on low 29s. Those are the times he needs in order to skate that team selection qualifying standard of 6:14.51.
As Blumen dips below that record pace, 28.77 that last lap, still comfortably in front. A man born in Leerdorp in the Netherlands.
What Blumen does so well is every stride counts. Every stride is perfect. He never lets anything go.
It's now turning into a bit of a solo race as Blumen, world class, pulling away. 29.1 that last lap, 6 seconds ahead of the time set by Morrison. It's only 1,800 meters in, so still a long way to go, and Blumen looking early on like he's in national championship form here in Calgary.
Ben Donnelly also on a very good race so far, mid-29s. If he can maintain this, he's on pace to equal or better his personal best.
29.58 for Blumen that last lap. So he's not on world record pace, unfortunately, today for those watching at home. But I guess at this stage of the game, there are bigger events still to come down the line. So the goal is to get that time, maintain a championship, and then look down the line for Blumen.
Absolutely. There's hardware on the line here. We will crown a Canadian champion for 2018 this evening, and Ted-Jan Blumen setting himself up well, 6 seconds ahead of Denny Morrison's top time on the leaderboard.
Dips into the 30 seconds, but very low, 30.19 that last lap. Look, back comes Donnelly a little bit, 30.03, a lot of room to make up, but he closed it just a little bit that time around.
To qualify for the Canadian 2018 team, skaters must skate under the qualifying time standard, which is based on the top 16 times worldwide. This year, that is a 6:14.51. So far, Ted-Jan Blumen is the only Canadian athlete to have achieved that time within the last year.
Another lap coming up, though, that Donnelly closed up 0.08 of a second, or actually almost 0.2 of a second, pardon me. Still a long way to go for him to catch up, but a couple laps in a row where he's turned those negative splits on Blumen. 36.2 last lap for Blumen. Donnelly 30.02. Donnelly's coming back into this a little bit.
Absolutely, negative splitting. Ben Donnelly also on a very good race here, and he's got Ted-Jan Blumen in his sights as he goes down the straightaway.
Coming into this, of course, you look at a guy like Donnelly, 20 years old. The future is still to come for him, but maybe he's starting to think maybe his future starts today. Blumen 30.78 that last lap. Donnelly with a 35.1, so he takes another 0.27 of a second out of him.
And Blumen slowing down lap after lap. He has to watch out. His lead over Denny Morrison is down to under 5 seconds.
And Morrison came back with a couple strong last laps, so it's going to be an interesting finish here.
Absolutely, and Ben Donnelly trying to hang on. Let's see if Donnelly can keep this next lap under 30.5.
But Blumen, look at that, ticks back down to the low 30s. Donnelly into the 31, so Blumen might have sensed that he was losing his steam a little bit and puts in another lap in the low 30s. 800 meters to go, less than that now.
So keep an eye on those time differentials in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. So far, Blumen with just under 5 seconds up on first place in the leaderboard. Donnelly hanging on to that second place position with 1 lap to go.
Impressive skate from the youngster. Less than 400 meters to go. Blumen sees a national championship. He wants a little more than that, obviously, in maybe a little over a month's time, but Blumen skating to a national title here in Calgary. Just got to keep it right side up as he rounds the final corner. 100 meters to go. Ted-Jan Blumen powering to the line. He's going to win the pair easily. Is he going to hang on to be national champion? Both hands on legs. Yes, he is. 30.74 on that last lap. 6:16.36 is his winning time, almost 5 seconds ahead of second. Donnelly, 6:25.95, good enough for 4th place.
So we have some final times to show you here. Our leaderboard after the 6th and final pair, Ted-Jan Blumen with a 6:16 takes top place and gold at the Canadian Championships. Denny Morrison just behind him in second. Jordan Belchos rounds off the podium.
You see Ben Donnelly slip to 4th after getting off to such a fast start, but some youngsters there, Leo, who look like they're going to be back better than ever over the next coming years.
Absolutely. Ben Donnelly with a great race. He finished 4th.
But Ted-Jan Blumen, the day belongs to him. He wants to come back in a couple days and do the same in the 10K as well, but he takes the national championship. Gold medal for him. Denny Morrison, silver. Jordan Belchos, 3rd.
And Ted-Jan Blumen, with that race and his results in the last year, setting himself up in a good position to potentially qualify for the Canadian team.
The team will officially be announced January 10th, but with the standards that he set, Ted-Jan Blumen in a very, very comfortable position. They're going to come out, surface the ice. There are going to be some medals coming up soon. The women's 3,000 meters is still to come. That one has 5 pairs.
Stay tuned for the podium ceremony and some rinkside interviews.
We are going to take a quick little break, but stay tuned. There is more to come, as Leo mentioned. Podiums, interviews, more races, all of that. Stay with us. I hope you're enjoying things so far, folks. You're watching the live stream of the Canadian Single Distance Championships and Long Track Team Selections.
Winning the bronze medal with a time of 6:22.90 is Jordan Belchos.
As we have a look at our podium for this afternoon's Canadian Championship.
Winning the silver medal with a time of 6:21.08, Denny Morrison.
The bronze medal went to Jordan Belchos with a time of 6:22.90. The silver medal to Denny Morrison, 6:21.08. And at the top of the podium, our gold medalist with a time of 6:16.36, Ted-Jan Blumen. He manages to make sure the podium stays in place and he doesn't fall over backwards. As we have a look at the podium for the men's 5,000 meter Canadian Single Distance Championships. Ted-Jan Blumen, Denny Morrison, and Jordan Belchos. Medals were presented by